I was talking to him when I did the deck tech, which you can see online at StarCityGames.com on the coverage page. He said that he liked the combo a lot, but he was playing with 4 pieces just to have the combo be the main plan, and that was not working at all.
Yeah.
And so he went down. He just decided to become a mid-range deck that could have a combo in it.
When you needed it.
When you needed it, and that's been a lot better.
Right. I mean, it's not like Deadeye Navigator is a bad card on its own.
Sure.
It pairs really well with Huntmaster of the Fells. It pairs really well with the conscripts just without the Gilded Lotus.
I was actually seeing him, the Deadeye Navigator and the Is It Staticaster. Actually, just by itself was like, all right, blink, deal the Thragtuska damage, blink, deal the Thragtuska damage, blink, deal the Thragtuska damage.
That's pretty good.
And it just took over a Jund game I was watching because it spent a lot of mana, but it didn't spend any cards.
Sure, exactly. It's like the Guild Mages Unlimited. You want a mana sink. And
right.
Sometimes these mid-range on mid-range mirrors, you really just need a mana sink, something to do with a ton of mana.
So Ryan on the right there is going to 6 cards, had to mulligan. He's on blue, white, red mid-range, somewhat similar to some of the other mid-range or the blue, white, red decks we'd seen earlier. This one slightly different. This one of the variety running Thundermaw Hellkite. He is also running 2 Bonfire of the Damned, so we get to spin that wheel. And he's also got a Slayer Stronghold. That's a nice one.
I love that card. Of all the lands, that one I feel like is the most underutilized. Those 2 color lands from the Innistrad block. That card's pretty good.
Yeah, last week in New Orleans, I was watching Chi-Hoi Yim playing in Standard. You can go watch that deck tech also. He had a much different version. He had 4 Fettergeist and 4 Galvanic Juggernaut. Looked a lot more like the block deck.
Yeah.
He had a Slayer Stronghold. And I was just seeing him ruin people with like Galvanic Juggernaut, give it haste.
Boom!
Yeah, just pretty good.
So Ryan Forsberg, you probably recognize him. If you do, it's because he's been at a lot of open series. He's almost always in contention going to the last rounds. I believe he had a top 8 in Cincinnati, I want to say. The last one me and Matthias did coverage for. Definitely a Midwest master.
Yep. I definitely recognize him from a lot of events. He's always near the top tables.
Yep. The spiked hair, mono spiked hair.
That's right.
So it looks like Hendricks won the play.
Deciding how he wants to lead. He's going to lead with one of Overgrown Tomb. He's got the black in the deck only to flashback Forbidden Alchemy. And he wants to be able to go get it with his Farseek in case he really needs to get it. And so for some reason his Gilded Lotuses aren't available.
It's such a low opportunity cost to play 1 Overgrown Tomb instead of 1 Forest. So
right. He's got 1 Overgrown Tomb and 1 Blood Crypt just in case. So Josh has the different types of mana he may need. Ryan's going to play out Geist of St. Traft here.
And Josh Hendricks, no Syncopate, none in the deck actually. Ryan Forsberg has to breathe a sigh of relief there. Oh, two
he does have 2 Syncopate in the deck, he just didn't happen to have it there.
That's right, 2 of those Odyssey Syncopates.
Right.
Those classy ones.
So we got no answer for a Geist yet. So Ryan Forsberg's going to untap with Geist, and that's not good news for Josh.
No, he'll play a Desperation Snapcaster, try and trade with this Geist, and it'll work.
And that's going to work. So Ryan likely has another Geist.
Yep. If he doesn't have another Geist, his hand must just be filled with other creatures.
Ooh, it's just full of other creatures. Wow, interesting.
That's really strange.
He also didn't have another land.
Almost every spell in his deck answers that.
Yeah.
And he didn't have one.
So Jace from Josh. The Ambush Viper plan worked for him. So we've got 2 lands and a Farseek. Josh is going to put the Farseek on the bottom, get the lands. One of the bigger things about Jace, obviously, is being able to hit every land draw.
Right.
You just never miss a land draw for the rest of your life if you have a Jace in play.
And yeah, that was Josh's plan. He was going to take any pile with 2 cards right there.
Right. So Ambush Viper for Ryan. Going to take out the Jace.
Ambush Viper really does a lot of work.
It does.
Strangely relevant in this format full of Planeswalkers.
I used to play the blue-green self-mill deck a lot in Innistrad Limited, and I would try and take as many Ambush Vipers as I could. And every once in a while, I'd have 1 Snapcaster mage.
Yeah, same
thing. People would be like expecting the Ambush Viper, and they wouldn't be expecting the Snapcaster. That would do the exact same thing.
But it
like,
somehow
what are you
feels
do?
worse.
Yeah, it somehow feels worse when it's a Snapcaster. Another Jace.
It's number 2. This time with Izzet Charm up. So
sure.
He'll be able to defend that. Now, I would Izzet Charm before I use Jace, just to see which mode you want to do on Jace, because if he counters it, then you can +1. No, he's just going to +1 anyway.
He's just going to +1 anyway. I don't think that that's a poor plan. He's going to untap with Restoration Angel, though, which is a problem. Oh, nope, Syncopate.
Timely syncopate for Josh Hendricks.
Yes, very good.
And now the Snapcaster Mage will be a 1/1 attacker. It'll knock Jace to 4.
Josh only has the 2 Jaces in the deck, so it was pretty fortunate for him. It is going to get Detention Sphered, though.
Probably a reasonable assumption to assume that Forsberg had the Sphere, since he had not many plays. Now Josh Hendricks has used none of his combo pieces and has advanced the game to where he has 6 lands. He's got to be loving this.
Yeah, he's got the Niv Mizzet in hand.
Yep.
It looks like he has an Izzet Charm and a Deadeye Navigator. The thing about this deck is it's got so much, like the 2-card combos that work together are just fantastic.
Yeah. And, I mean, the cards aren't unreasonable on their own. Gilded Lotus is probably the most dead, and even that one, all these decks can use more mana.
Yeah.
Kessig Wolf Run, Syncopate, they all work.
And Niv Mizzet Draco Genius.
Yeah.
So we're going to play Deadeye Navigator.
Yep, and that looks like it's bait for the Draco Genius. We'll see if Ryan has more answers.
There's the Deadeye Navigator, crossing the river Styx. Allows you to blink your guys. I'll give you a chance to read it on the side. I won't read it out loud, but basically, for every 2 mana you have, you get to blink either the Deadeye Navigator or the creature that it's paired with. In addition, it's already a Baloth. It's a 6 mana 5/5.
And also the nice part is that lets you re-soul bond it too, so you can soul bond that to anything, and then blink, blink, blink.
Yes.
Oh look, I have a Huntmaster now.
And so the infinite combo with Gilded Lotus, Deadeye Navigator, and Zealous Conscript, if you also throw a Huntmaster in the mix, you can float an arbitrarily large amount of mana, then blink, 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 make an arbitrarily large amount of wolves, and gain that much life.
Right. And there's the Draco Genius. Hendricks figured that he didn't have the counter for the Navigator. He's not going to have the counter for the Draco Genius.
Right. So we're just going to throw 5/5s on the board.
Oh yeah.
I don't think Ryan has a shot at beating a pair of 5/5s.
No, Ryan has no main deck Wrath of God.
The answer is to find a 6th land in Bonfire for 5 and not get countered.
Right.
At which point Josh will still get to draw an extra card from his Niv Mizzet.
Yeah, this game is pretty much over at this point. Josh Hendricks about to untap with that Izzet Charm and an active Draco Genius. Unless Ryan can pull something miraculous here, like a Detention Sphere would be a start.
Yeah, he's going to need... How many does he have main deck? 2?
Only
so
2.
He's going to need to find the Miser's Detention Sphere.
Oh, well, here's...
So he's going to... Bonfire for 2 here. You see Detention Sphere on the left side of your screen. The interesting thing about Detention Sphere that players may not realize after playing with Oblivion Ring so long is there is the word may in there.
Yeah.
So if there's only the 1 permanent on the board, you don't have to remove your own permanent.
Also, it doesn't target other Detention Spheres, which I forgot this weekend. I've already made that mistake. It's an easy one. Because, you know, you're so used to playing with Oblivion Ring, and O-Ring your O-Ring is such a big play.
Yeah. It would be quite miserable if you could Detention Sphere.
Yeah, sure would.
You could break Moto like LSV did in that one video.
I'm so happy he did that. I'm so
I
happy that someone finally
He just decided to do it for fun.
Right.
I could avoid this situation, but you know what? This is so much more fun.
As he would say, you're going to do it for value.
Yeah. So there's a Tamiyo. We're going to keep a land tapped.
Ryan Forsberg, 4 mana available.
Also 4 life available.
That get him out of this one.
Yeah.
We'll probably start with a Supreme Judgment, a Supreme Verdict that is not in his deck.
Yep.
He just keeps beating him though, hoping maybe he can somehow burn Josh out. But Josh has had that Izzet Charm all game.
Josh is at 7, so it's not like he's at the most comfortable life total ever, especially with Ryan's deck having Bonfire, Searing Spear, Pillar of Flame.
Right.
I don't think that he has a combination of those in his hand that's going to be able to take him down, so Josh is going to win game 1 with the exciting Rug Soulbond deck.
Yeah, Niv Mizzet finally sees the battlefield for the first time today. And, you know, a lot of the times it's kind of just like a 6 mana 5/5 flyer, but that's fine.
Yeah, there's not a ton of finishers left in Standard. Once the Titans left, you know, the biggest thing in the world was Angel of Serenity.
Right.
And that's a fine finisher as well, but Niv Mizzet allows you to garner card advantage while it's in play, not just while it dies.
Which is why the Blood Gift Demon that we saw earlier was so impressive.
Yes.
Because in these mid-range mirrors, when no one really has the removal spells, or they're so precious that you can't use them or don't have them, then a card like that's really good.
Yeah, elimination, just, with all the creatures that have 2 lives, a lot of the elimination is just bad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Ultimate Price is such a versatile removal spell. It's so efficient, cost efficient, but we've seen barely any of them.
Yeah.
Because 1-for-1 removal just not that strong.
Yeah, you remember how good Go for the Throat used to be, even at a point in the format when everyone was playing artifact creatures.
Right.
There was a little while there where every deck had Wormcoil Engine, Solemn Simulacrum. I guess those would be the 2 that would be the main ones, but even at the peak of those cards, people were still playing a lot of Go for the Throats.
Exactly. They had to split it up between their Go for the Throats and their Doomblades.
Just to hedge against.
Exactly, because the spot removal was so good that they wanted 5 or 6 or 7 copies sometimes.
And now a combination of the spot removal being slightly worse, because Murder is your catch-all at this point. You've got Ultimate Price, you've got like Mizium Mortars,
Abrupt Decay, Tribute to Hunger.
Sure, but not everything gets hit,
right.
Is the thing. You look at a creature like Tristani, which is a very, very good creature, which you haven't seen a lot of in Standard yet. I expected to see more play as the Thragtusk decks sort of wane, because being a 2/5 is not particularly good against being against a 5/3. Right. But that thing avoids it avoids Ultimate Price, it avoids Mizium Mortars, it avoids Abrupt Decay, it avoids Selesnya Charm. So, you have to murder it pretty much.
Yeah, you have to murder it, you have to tribute it somehow versus the green-white deck.
Versus the green-white deck that you're hoping other creatures come into play against. Yeah, so the creatures, I mean, obviously this has been a shift that's been several years in the making, that the creatures are just better now than they used to be.
Yeah, they're so good. I mean, if you compare Angel of Serenity to any white creature that costs 7 ever, I think Elesh Norn is the only one that's remotely close.
And that was legal last year.
Yeah, exactly.
There's just nothing that even approaches it.
You want like Elder Landworm? That's
right, exactly. That's
it.
You used to have like Acheron Legionnaire back in the day.
Right.
So when your 8/4s had drawbacks at 8 mana, and now your 5/6 for 7 has triple Faceless Butcher, or triple Grim Harvest or whatever. It's just amazing. Absurd.
Yeah. But it's definitely been a long time coming, and a lot of people like to complain, especially Wild Mikado. When that card was printed, people were up and on, like, this creature is too good. Creatures are so good now. Look at Card Ape. This is way better. Well, 45 years later, we're still here. We're still playing Magic.
Right.
It's still the same game.
And Wizards of the Coast made a conscious effort that they wanted creatures to be the flagship of the game. Creature combat's supposed to be the most important thing. We don't want to have storm mirrors all the time, and combo's still a thing.
Yep.
Because of how prevalent creatures are, elimination's a thing, and so when you have a lot of decks that have a lot of dead cards in them, if your opponent's hand is full of Ultimate Prices and Victim of Nights, like we've been talking about, it's not so good when your deck is the burn deck that we saw at the end of last round that only has 4 or 8 creatures, and they're all flash.
Exactly, or the Omniscience deck, or
right.
something like that. Now, I was kind of laughing while you were saying that, because you said, the combo decks are better because they have dead cards. Well, Josh Hendricks' combo deck, 2 of its 3 combo pieces are creatures.
That's true. And so when you've got creature-based combo, like you've got the Splinter Twin or a Kikijiki deck, like that, obviously your elimination's better against those. But, Epic Experiment's going to be a card at some point, probably once Stomping Ground happens.
At some point, some format.
At some point in some format. Well, last week we had a High Tide deck that had Epic Experiment in it, and we used Epic Experiment for like 33s.
I didn't watch that round.
Awesome.
I'm going to go look at that in the archives and the coverage, for sure.
Yeah, that deck was nice. You can check out a deck tech of that from New Orleans last week. Looking at sideboards, though, Josh is, I'm not sure he really needs a lot against Ryan's deck. He's pretty well set up against the tempo decks. The thing I think he would probably bring in, he certainly wants to bring in the Clone to be able to answer the Geist of St. Traft.
For sure. That card's very hard for him to deal with.
It's possible he also brings in the Thragtusks, which he has in the sideboard, depending on how much burn he expects Ryan to have.
Yeah, I like the Thragtusks a lot, just because if I'm Josh, I want as many creatures in my deck that can profitably block a Geist as possible. Yeah, that card is scary. Ryan, on the other hand, he has a few options. He can overload his deck with creature removal, like Supreme Verdict, Dungeon Geist, or he can go a different route, Tamiyo, Jace, Architect of Thought. I'm really not sure what role he wants to take in this matchup. So I'm not sure how he'll have sideboarded here, but I have to imagine some number of Supreme Verdicts came in.
Yeah, he did not play a Geist on turn 3, so yeah, he did bring in he's trying to go more control,
right?
It appears. Probably bringing in the whole left side here of his sideboard, Tamiyo, 2 Jace, Syncopate, Dissipate to try and take a more reactive role.
Yeah.
And so now he's found a Geist, if he so chooses. Both of these piles are pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Ryan might just want to hit his land drops.
Yeah, I think that's what we decided.
You don't need to win the quick game if you have a Jace in play. You just want to prolong the game, protect your Jace.
Now, Josh does not have green mana
Oh, wow.
as of right now, but he's going to find it most likely. Maybe not.
Ooh, wow.
Did not find green mana.
Staticaster, Izzet Charm, Snapcaster, Steam Vents. Not sure what he'll take here, but he really needs to find a way to deal with that Jace. Snapcaster makes sense because next turn he can Snapcaster Izzet Charm.
Yep. Still unable to find the green mana. He is, however, going to be able to legend rule this Jace if he wants.
Right. And it's so hard to fight the Jace with the Snapcaster because it only has 1 power, and yeah, I think that's the right play.
Yeah.
It hurts that he got an activation, but he just has to get it off the battlefield.
Ryan untapping with 5 lands.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's firmly in the driver's seat now. Now that he's found his one of Tamiyo, the Moon Sage.
Had it.
Yeah, had it the whole time. It's the only one in his 75, but you know what? You only need 1.
Exactly. If you're going to play it on turn 5, you really do only need 1.
Josh still unable to find the green that he so desperately needs. He's got Huntmaster, Farseek in hand,
Yeah.
which would have been able to dig him out of this situation, but he's not going to. A Staticaster's not going to do it against a Planeswalker.
No, unfortunately, Staticaster does not ping players. That's what makes it so much worse in Limited, and does not work against Tamiyo. So the end of turn Snapcaster is met with a Searing Spear. And that's going to be a little slow. It's an alchemy. Should find him green.
It will eventually find the green. It's not going to be able to do anything, assuming it resolves, of course.
Pretty big
Yeah.
assumption. We knew about that Dissipate in Ryan's hand.
Yeah,
So.
Ryan knows what's important at this point. He finds another Dissipate.
Wow.
There's the Slayer's Stronghold. Probably not going to be what wins him this game.
There it
There's a
is.
forest.
It's a little late. Tamiyo threatening to ultimate in just a couple of turns. No matter what spell that was, it would be countered here.
Yep. So
Yeah.
this is going to get dissipated as well.
And Ryan Forsberg will untap with another Dissipate for whatever spell Josh attempts next turn.
And he'll
then
just be able to
Tamiyo
ultimate Tamiyo. Yeah.
Tamiyo should take it over at that point.
Ryan does have the extra Dissipate, correct?
He
Because
does.
Josh does have Zealous Conscripts, which would be real embarrassing.
I think he has the Dissipate. We'll see.
I'm pretty sure.
And there's the Stronghold. Gets in with that 4-2. Or 4-1, rather.
4-1. Start applying more pressure. Blood Crypt stays locked down. Josh does have the Zealous Conscripts, does not have the 6th land to be able to play the 5-mana Zealous Conscripts, unfortunately.
He's game, though. He's
Farseek.
going to play on.
Sure.
I mean, actually, Josh's deck is one of the few that can be a Tamiyo ultimate.
Yes.
Because if Ryan doesn't have a counter spell, he can definitely just infinite combo through that.
Ryan is going to be able to untap with Tamiyo Ultimate with Dissipate in hand, though. So
Right.
things are not great. Does Ryan have 6 lands? I believe he does. So he'll be able to dissipate 2 spells a turn, should he so choose. He's 8 lands. That's way more than 6.
And now it looks like the players are chatting about how hopeless of a position Josh is in right
Yep.
now. Ryan getting pretty animated. Loves to ultimate a Tamiyo. Who doesn't? That's one of the best feelings in Magic.
One of the better ultimates.
Yeah.
Just feel good.
Exactly. Just thought scour myself.
Yeah. Forbidden Alchemy is also big game.
Ooh, yeah.
And also, you just kill people with Pillar of Flame, which is awesome.
That works too.
That's one of the better ones. So we are going to ultimate Tamiyo.
And it looks like Josh will respond with a Snapcaster. Sorry, an Ambush Viper.
Right.
Time
Just so
shift.
that we have an emblem. Check that out.
Nice. Props to the judges for having that emblem already.
Yeah.
I've never even seen one of those emblems, so
Yeah, the emblems are nice. I like having them around. So he's just going to get that unsummon back, just forever. I think Josh probably can't win through the unsummon.
Let alone the dissipate.
Let alone the dissipate. One of our alterists here, Lindsay Burley, is a specialist at tokens and emblems, 3D tokens and emblems, so check her work out. She has some pretty cool Tameo emblems.
Yeah, I was entranced. My plan was on my break, I was just going to go get some food, but then I walked by the altarist tables, and I was there for a good 30 minutes talking to them, checking out their work. So cool.
Yeah. That's one of the great things about the Open Series, is that it's, it is mainly the tournament, but then there's also the show.
Right.
You get to walk around and check out the feature matches. You can, bird us, doing our thing from the booth.
Try and hand in judge slips to us.
Exactly.
Like
a lot of people ask us where the bathrooms are and things like that. But then there's the altarist table. There's the sales booth. There's a bunch of side events always going on. It's it's like a party atmosphere a lot of the time.
Don't forget about the convention center hot dogs. Those are delicious.
So, actually, this convention center has the best food situation of any convention center that we go to. I always love coming to the St. Louis, to the Gateway Center here in Collinsville. First of all, they have an electronic menu that has Copperline Gorge as the background. Did you notice that?
No, I didn't.
It's
I'm
awesome.
gonna have to check
So
that
the background of the menu for the TV is Copperline Gorge, which
must
is
be their
hilarious.
best customer.
Yeah, of course. And they've actually got halfway decent prices and like enormous hot dogs and stuff. So like a lot of the time it's a food desert at tournaments, but this is one of the better ones. Yeah. Meanwhile, Ryan's got a Tameo emblem and he's got an unsummon and he's got a dissipate.
And somehow Josh knows about both of these cards and has not scooped yet.
Sure. He's putting on a show for us.
Yeah,
I guess.
Exactly. He has to show off these nice lands he has.
These Tempest Forests.
Tempest Forest, foil Shocks, foil M10 lands.
That's right.
Beautiful. Probably pre-ordered them from Star City.
That's a solid way to go. Attempt Mizium Mortars on Snapcaster Mage, gonna get unsummoned instead.
Yep, that's gonna resolve. It's gonna resolve. Josh Hendricks, a couple Staticasters in hand.
Yep. He could try and flash in a Staticaster in response.
Yeah, that could work.
Which would kill the Snapcaster that would then still go back to his hand.
Tameo Ultimate's a hell of a thing.
That's a beating.
Yep. Yeah, there we go. Josh Hendricks realized the hole he's in. I think at that moment he's like, oh wait.
It was theoretically possible for him to win past that, but he would have needed to runner 3 different cards.
Yes.
And then play them in the exact right order so as to not get blown out by a dissipate.
And also have Ryan Forsberg screw up.
Yes.
Which
he's not apt to do.
Yeah. I've probably commentated about 4 or 5 Ryan Forsberg's matches, and I can't think of many mistakes he's made.
Sure.
Do you know if he's a Pro Tour player, or is he just pretty much a
Ryan?
Star City?
I don't know. I don't know Ryan that well. He's not from the part of the Midwest. I'm from Columbus originally. He's from a different part of the Midwest. I don't know which part. But
it's a big place.
Yeah, it is. So I don't know where the crossover is, but I would not be surprised if he had been on the Pro Tour before.
Yeah. He seems to have that really casual air about him. Doesn't care that he's in a feature match. Doesn't care that he's on 4 different cameras at once.
Sure.
He's here to play.
Yeah. Josh, on the other hand, I think he might have a little bit of nerves. He doesn't seem as affected by the cameras as he does just by the people.
Okay.
Because I was watching one of his feature matches in the side matches. You can see behind Josh, we have other feature match tables set up. He was in one of those. And we've recently got stanchions to be able to block people off from being too high up on your back, but only for the camera matches.
Right.
Whereas in the other matches, people don't really respect your personal space so much.
No, they really want to see what's in your hand.
They really want to see what's in your hand. So that seemed to affect him a little bit more than what's happening here. He seems to be doing fine, though. You covered his other match. He doesn't seem too put off by it.
No, definitely not. It was just kind of a hopeless matchup for him, where he drew all the Staticasters and Nightshade Peddlers when what he needed was the other half of his deck.
Sure.
Which is kind of a problem with his deck. The fact that he doesn't really have too much card selection definitely hurts him. He has 3 Alchemy, 2 Izzet Charms.
Yeah. The Alchemies, the Izzet Charms, and the Jaces are about it.
Right.
But if you just draw the random half of your deck that's not good, then you're just dead.
Exactly. I think when the format shifts a little more to maybe the blue-white tempo decks, maybe gaining dominance, the Izzet Charms will be a lot better because they can both kill a creature and loot. I think we've seen more Izzet Charms draw 2, discard 2 today than we have both other modes combined. It's not a well-poised card right now.
Yeah, probably just better as Faithless Looting at that point.
I think so. Yeah. It's nice to have the versatility though to counter a Jace or kill a 2-drop. Not that those exist right now.
Sure.
But it's got to feel pretty good to kill a Diagraph Tool, something like that.
Josh's deck doesn't really have a problem with 2-drops that much though, because he's got the Static Caster, and Static Caster stands in front of most 2-drops pretty effectively. Takes out a lot of them. Takes out Problem Thalias, which I imagine is not the easiest thing for him to deal with otherwise.
What do you think of the Misery Mortars? That's a card we've kind of seen a lot of this weekend.
Yeah, it was a card that got a lot of press when the set was first spoiled because people were like, oh man, Flame Wave, split card Flame/Flame Wave is awesome, and it is. But it didn't really it didn't really have a home for a month. It wasn't in the blue-white-red control deck. It wasn't what you wanted to be doing. You already had Terminus and
Supreme
Verdict, so you didn't really care about having the Misery Mortars, but I'm glad that it's starting to see play. I really like it. I think that Flame Slash, even though it costs an extra mana, is a realistic thing to want to be doing, as opposed to some of the other Overload cards where you don't ever want to cast it for its non-Overload cost.
You feel really bad if you have to Cyclonic with them.
Yeah.
It's not a fun feeling.
Unless you're way ahead or way behind.
Yeah.
About 90% of the time you're waiting for 7 mana.
Exactly, which, I mean, I personally really like the Rift. I feel like it's a good one-of in a lot of these decks, but it's not a card you can ever play 2 of. Not reasonable.
And Misery Mortars, on the other hand, is a card that is about 50-50. It's an actual split card. I'm very happy that it's starting to see some play. Now, interesting thing about Overload, though, is you cannot overload a Snapcaster Maged thing in your graveyard, which is a rules interaction I didn't know.
Yeah, because I thought the Overload cards said cast on them.
I don't know. I'm no rules guru, so I don't know how that works. But that's what I've been told.
Yeah, we'll definitely double check on that for you guys.
Meanwhile, all our players have the mana they need so far. Josh does not have black, which he won't need for a little while.
Not a big deal. When he gets to 7 for that alchemy, he should have black.
So Ryan Forsberg's going to play the Geist. Does Josh have any answer whatsoever to it? He has a Huntmaster, it would appear, which is a fine answer to a Geist of St. Traft.
It is. Now, it looks like Josh Hendricks' draw was a little slow this game, but he crawls right back into it with the Huntmaster.
Josh has the promo token. It has the human on the back that you got for Halloween.
Wow. He came to game. He came prepared.
Right. So here comes a Geist. Here comes an Angel.
Now, do you double block or do you just single block?
I probably double block here, just because you just don't want to get blown out by a Searing Spear.
Right.
If he has the Restoration Angel, he has the Restoration Angel. Yeah. So that's what I would have done. I'm also fine with making Ryan tap out.
Exactly, because now if you do want to flip that Huntmaster, you can just say go.
Yeah.
Not that that's good right now.
No, it's not particularly good. Josh has more Haymakers in his deck than Ryan does.
Alright, so Forest for Josh. Plenty of green mana this game. Oh, and that's another Huntmaster, or is that a Zealous?
We have a Zealous Conscripts, a Misery Mortars, a Forbidden Alchemy, and 2 other cards. Okay. That Misery Mortars is going to be very good if he manages to get a 6th land next turn because he can take out that Geist.
Yeah. Ryan Forsberg has sided in quite a few counter spells. Post board, he has 3 Dissipate, he has 4 Syncopate. That's it for.
So we're going to play Zealous Conscripts here.
Okay.
He's going to steal some cards, and he's just going to try and race at this point.
I don't think that's that unreasonable, because if you knock Ryan Forsberg down low enough, he's forced to tap out on his turn, he's forced to make plays he might not otherwise make, and then
Ryan's
you're Mortars.
At 10, and Josh is going to go to 9 here, but Josh is going to get to untap.
Right.
And also, Ryan cannot afford to let Josh untap with a flipped Huntmaster, so he actually probably has to play a spell here.
Yeah. The more I think about that play, the more I really like it from Josh. Just get it out there, get the damage in while you can, make Ryan play your game instead of you trying to play his instant speed game.
Yeah. It didn't look that impressive when he first did it, but I really like that play.
Yeah. Oh, Snapcaster's in his hand.
We don't have anything to Snapcast as of yet.
Not yet, no. But
Josh also has a negate. I'm not sure how relevant that is at this point.
I'm sure it will be. There are always bonfires in Ryan's deck.
That's true. Ryan's probably has to play this Detention Sphere. Yeah, he's going to take out the Huntmaster.
Yep, and he might even have to play defense here. He can probably swing with Geist, but I can't imagine he's swinging with both.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. So Josh is going to go to 12. So Josh is on a 2 or a 3 turn clock instead of 2 just because he attacked.
Right, and now he has that extra 3/3 too.
Yes.
And yep, there's the land.
So Josh is way in the driver's seat at this point.
Yeah, he's trying to think of any reason not to overload this Mortars, and I can't think of one.
Yeah, Dispel's not going to do it.
Right, that's the only card that might.
There's no Force Spike in the format. I think we're good to go. No Spell Pierce.
Yeah, not sure what he's thinking about here. Maybe
he's just deciding to see if that's the right play.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be terribly frightened, even of like Bonfire at this point. If Ryan taps out for Bonfire Miracled on his turn, it's still way in Josh's favor.
Right, exactly.
The top of Josh's deck at this point is better than the top of Ryan's.
Miracle? Nope. So now Ryan firmly on the back seat.
Yeah.
He needs to
He's facing down
tap
lethal.
out again. Yeah.
Not where Ryan wants to be tapping out.
No, these mid-range decks are really good when they're winning, but when they're losing, a lot of their cards are just not impressive. Geist of St. Traff, these tempo plays like Azorius Charm to the top of the deck really are just kind of buy time.
And that was always the history with tempo decks. With even with the blue-white Delver deck, didn't have a real easy time coming back from a bad situation.
Once it was behind, it usually stayed behind.
Yeah.
That's how though there's the flip side of that once it's ahead, it never gives it up.
It rolls downhill.
Yep.
Exactly right. Cards like Unsummon, not very good when you're trying to survive, but when you're trying to take out opponents, very, very good.
It's a one-mana Swords to Plowshares at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ryan just says go. Looks like main phase Alchemy. I love the first combat, or the pre-combat main phase Alchemy here.
Yeah, get as much information as you can.
Exactly. We've seen a lot of players fail to do that today with cards like Jace and, all these various draw spells, and you just have to play in main phase.
I think that, okay, so we have Jace, Deadeye Navigator, Farseek, Land. It's probably the Jace at this point.
I think so, because even if Ryan has something...
He's going to take the Deadeye, so he's going to try and... He's going to play around like Supreme Verdict, I guess, at this point by taking that, although the Jace would have done something similar.
Yeah, I'm not...
So here comes the Restoration Angel. This is going to stand in front of Zealous Conscript. Ryan's going to go to 3. Unless Josh has something worth snapcasting.
Yeah, that's why I'm not a huge fan of taking the Deadeye there, because if he does have something like the Angel, it gets a lot less impressive. But just being a 5/5 is pretty big here, too. Ooh, Cameo.
So Josh passed. What's Josh's plan now? It's to play this Deadeye Navigator? Because if we wanted the Deadeye, this is why picking that over Jace doesn't make sense to me. It's because picking the Deadeye, we clearly did that because we had Zealous Conscripts.
Right.
And Ryan passed the turn with all that mana up. He's clearly got Restoration Angel. There's almost nothing else he could have had there.
Or at least something to take out the 3/3 in combat.
Yes.
So it's not going to take out the 2/2, it's going to take out the 3/3.
Looks like Ryan is going to play the Tamio here.
And I think you have to negate that.
Yeah.
No question about it.
So the negate did end up being useful, of course. For the most part, I liked how Josh played this game. I just don't like that particular selection.
Yeah, I agree. And, it's not even that bad.
It's not that bad, no.
Because he doesn't even necessarily want to tap out for the Jace that turn anyway. He might want to leave negate up.
That's true. That's a good point. And he's also going to end up with a 5/5, assuming Ryan doesn't have a counterspell, which he didn't have the negate for the negate. So... it's completely reasonable for him to just throw this 5/5 on the board.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's pretty much Essence Scatter or bust for Ryan. But he'll try and bait the Essence Scatter, and he does.
So we Essence Scattered the Snapcaster Mage, which was going to
Flashback Mizium
Mortars.
Yeah, I guess that is kind
Ryan
of a must counter.
So
yeah.
he, like, everything's a must counter at this point for Ryan.
Right.
Ryan's got Supreme Verdict in his deck, which is a lot better at 3 life than it is at 1 life. So I guess that's fine.
Yeah, it looks like Ryan just trying to buy as much time as possible.
I like the way both of these players have played this game. It's been a very tight match. A lot of these mid-tempo matchups are.
Yeah. They usually come down to that last turn.
That's why a lot of the better players in the room tend to prefer decks like Delver and blue-white-red mid-range, is because the margins are so thin.
Right.
Like Rug Delver is also very similar. That, like, you don't have any blowout matches in either direction. They're all 55-45s at worst.
It makes you earn the win. That's for sure.
And so that's how they get. That's how they feel better about themselves, is when they're like, well, I earned every round today. I didn't get any blowouts.
There were only 3, but I earned them.
Right. Exactly.
See, me, I just play Dredge.
Right, yeah. You just want your 80-20 matchups.
Yeah,
that's what I want,
love those matchups.
Exactly.
Those are fun matchups.
Yeah,
you get done in 20 minutes
agree.
and then get to go get food, and there you go. You the Copperline Gorge?
That's right. Thundermaw. So do we attack with Thundermaw? Here's an interesting one.
Wow, I think you have to. Josh has no cards.
I think you have to also. Yeah, Josh has no cards here. So Ryan's just going to press the issue, put Josh to 5, and make him find something on top of his deck.
Yeah,
because Ryan's going to go to 1 based on what we have. So if Ryan draws a land, what did he get?
I think that might have been a Dissipate.
It was a Dissipate.
Wow.
So that's it.
Ryan Forsberg squeaks this one out.
Yeah, well done. So we can flashback. Do we have a black? We don't have a black.
Oh, yeah, we don't even have black now. If we did, we could flashback the Alchemy, try and hit a Pillar of Flame or something like that, the one of.
Yeah, that's about it, though.
No, nothing in the sideboard. So by the thinnest of margins, just like you said, Ryan Forsberg going to win this game at 1 life.
Skin of his teeth. Ryan Forsberg going to take the match, 2 games to 1.
Congrats to him. He might be able to draw next round. He might not.
He might not.
There were a lot of X1s going on.
There were an absolute ton of 18-pointers. All the way down to like 25th. Or something ridiculous like that. I didn't get a full look at the list, but Josh Hendricks, X2 now. Probably not alive for top 8 anymore, unfortunately.
No, his deck is super cool, and I think there's some work to be done on it. I love the individual combos. I love the Peddler.
I think that the Peddler and the Staticaster are fantastic innovations to this strategy. There is certainly room here. If you're looking to trump the Geist of St. Traft and Thragtusk metagame, this is a good place to start.
Right. Exactly. I think